Good day. I have with me Trevor Oosterwyk. He's the media spokesperson for Statistics South Africa, and we're talking census. 2022 is census year. It should have been last year, but due to COVID, it's been postponed to this year. And Trevor, the interesting thing about this postponed census 2022 is that it will be the first digital census. Can you explain to us how that will work?
You're indeed right. It's the first digital census now. Previously, and remember, this is the fourth census that we are running since the advent of democracy. So previously, we would have sent out hundreds and thousands of people with the paper questionnaire to go knock on your door. We have no paper questionnaires now. We are all on the device, on your iPad. We've got all these devices. So the questionnaire in the first instance is completely digital from that perspective. Secondly, going digital from that perspective, we have three ways in which a citizen can be enumerated, or in other words, counted. One is that there is a person coming and knocking on the door and complete the questionnaire on the device. And we have about 160,000 field workers who are going to go out across the country and do that. But there are two other options for people, and particularly who don't want other people to come into their houses. You know, South Africans are rightfully suspicious of criminal activities and fears, etc. And so there's an option to do it yourself. You can self-administer. It's online. You can download it, complete the questionnaire, and send it back to Stat.SA. But I need to say, for those online things, you need to register at a website called www.getcounted.statsa.gov.za. Fairly easy process to get, and they'll send you an OTP and then you're good to go, so that you don't have to depend on somebody come knocking on your door. But it's important that people complete. Thirdly, it is in cases where people want, and you can also register on that site, we will have call center agents assisting to do it telephonically. So on the telephone, they sit with the gadgets in the call center and they administer the questionnaire to you on your phone, much in the way you and I are talking telephonically and would have conducted the interview. So it's very much the same like that. And that is now to obviate obviate some of the more difficult problems that we used to have. Now, when you don't register, I should add, then it still means that an enumerator is going to come and knock on your door to remind you that you've not registered. I'm here to do the census thing. And in that instance, would then say, would then try to administer. But we hope that by that time, if people still want to, they could still continue to do it online for themselves.
I suppose you have some sort of auditing system then, which gives you the ability to know when someone did not hand in their details.
Yes, that's why we've got, of course, all the households registered in the country on the database from previous census, and we built up over time. And we've done, I mean, services are our professional business in any case. So your name is on that record. And once you send yours back, because you will have the management system is that registration process, so that we don't double count or triple count. We know that you've sent in your questionnaire. Also, we know that you didn't send in your questionnaire, and we can follow up with you.
Until when will the census be conducted?
The census is starting on what we call Census Night, and in a minute I'd like to explain what that means. It's on the 2nd of February, the night of the 2nd of February into the morning of the 3rd. And data collection happens from that morning, the 3rd, right until the 28th of February. Now, why I'm talking about the 2nd is that we in South Africa, there are two ways in which the world does censuses. And remember, censuses date back to biblical times. It's not a new phenomenon. We've done 4 in this country. In the older party days, there were regular censuses also from right back to 1795 that censuses were first conducted in South Africa. So it's something that people are familiar with. And in this 2020 around. All countries are also busy with census. Half of them have already been counted. Now, the one that we take is what we call a day jury, that we take a snapshot of a moment in time, and that moment is the night of the 2nd of February. And the question that emanates from that is, where did you sleep on the night of the 2nd of February? So we're counting everybody, irrespective of citizenship, nationality, or whatever else, that is within the borders of South Africa on the night of the 2nd of February. And that's the snapshot we're taking. So even if I talk to you on the 24th of February, I will ask you, where did you sleep on the 2nd? Because there's a detail, that's the reference here that we're going to make. So that means that we will then count. We'll go on the 2nd of February, we'll go to the homeless, we'll go to old age homes, we go to hospitals, we go to prisons, we go to all the port entries where people are gathered, hotels, etc. So we've already put in place those mechanisms to give effect to that, to count all. So people in transit, but who are still here on the 2nd, the night of the 2nd, and they leave maybe the morning of the 3rd, will also be counted in.
What will happen if someone refuses to complete the form?
Could I say that? I mean, the statistician general, who is the head of the statistics organization, is empowered by an act to execute this mandate. The state has given him the right to coordinate this, and that act compels you and I, make it mandatory for us to participate. In the same way that there's an education act that makes it mandatory for you to send your children to school, or there's a law that says you must drive a certain amount and there are penalties attached should you not stick to that. So or taxes, for example, and there are penalties that you don't, because those are critical, what I call democratic responsibilities that all of us as citizens have. And the census is that one in terms of that. And so it says that if you should refuse, that there are penalties involved. But the statistician general is, in our experience with 3 other censuses, that we don't find large-scale refusal from people. And where there people are refusing, it's often because of misunderstanding or not being informed properly about what is going on. And if we take time to explain to people, often people understand. So we've never really implemented that, but let me say it's there in the law. And the law says you can be fined 10,000 Rand, or alternatively, or both, 6 months imprisonment should you refuse to participate. But it's not, I'm very worried about the scare tactics. It's not to scare people to say that, because there's really nothing untoward within a census. And if people understand that, there's no reason not to participate.
How can people ensure that they are safe during this time when your field workers visit their households?
Yes, that's a very, very important aspect, and we are very mindful of that. And I've had experience with people coming over the years who masquerade as Stats SA people. So yes, it's a very legitimate point. In this instance, in this census, we try to deal with that issue in 2 or 3 different ways. I've already explained to you that you don't have to have people come into your house. You can download it, or you can do it via telephone. Secondly, even if the field worker comes to your door, you don't have to invite them in the house. You can do it outside or anywhere else of your choosing. Thirdly, that person should wear the paraphernalia, the clothing of Statistics South Africa. It would be the green outfit with census and all of that on it. And that person would have an ID issued by Stats SA. In addition to that, you can go to the website and take the ID from that person, go to the website, Stats SA website, and there's a button that you can verify. That person's picture who's standing in front of your door should come up if you type in the ID number. Or you can call the call center, or they'll do it for you. So those are all ways in which we are hoping to ease people's minds that we have thought about it, because there are always triers and opportunists out there who want to exploit the situation. And should they call. If you're uncertain, don't let the person in. Call and then make another appointment.
Trevor Oosterwyk, spokesperson for Statistics South Africa. Thank you very much for your time.
It was a pleasure, Izak. See you again.
Keep well.
Bye-bye.